Hey guys, here I am with Dave, my apprentice, here in the back.
Hey guys.
We are out of lockdown and he's visiting the shop today.
Thankfully.
Now I've got a project here for Dave. I've had a customer come in the shop. Brand new Stihl MS261. Customer says they only ran one tank of fuel in there.
Look at this bar.
It's an 18-inch bar, Dave.
Yep.
As you can see, the saw is brand new. Now, they said that after running one tank of gas in there, they just can't seem to get it to run properly. And I purposely saved the saw for when Dave would come after lockdown, just to put him to the test here, guys, to see if he can diagnose this saw. I already know what's wrong with it.
Oh, okay. So you're setting me up.
I am. So this is good training for Dave. Let's see how he makes out on diagnosing this saw.
Let's do it.
There shouldn't be much wrong with it, Dave. It's brand new.
Hey, I don't know. You know already, so
It's brand new, Dave.
we'll see.
What could go wrong?
What could go wrong? Let's check it out.
Okay, Dave, so where would you start with this?
Well, a few things come to mind. I know if I do the Donny Boy 73 test. Now,
Do you have the decompressor pushed in?
so that is something I wanted to cover as well.
Can you
here,
show
too.
us how to deactivate that?
Yeah, so the decompressor valve is right here, and if you push that in, it's real easy. I'll show you again. There's hardly any compression, right? Because that's designed to help with assist with starting the saw.
But even though you have the decompressor on, it still looks like there's some compression there.
Yeah, oh, you can definitely feel some compression. Like if I were to try and start it now.
Yeah. Because in some of our previous videos, we did that.
Right,
And it went down at the same rate, but it was all scored up.
right. So it's not necessarily always a telltale sign from what I understand,
Yeah.
but it certainly is an indicator. So let's try that again.
Yeah, deactivate it,
Yeah.
and you just push. If you guys have a saw like this, you want to deactivate it, you just push it up like
So-
Dave did.
In,
Yeah.
and you don't want to pry this hard out, obviously, because this
Okay. So what are you going to do now, Dave?
is just the same thing to see if it... So as you can see
Wow,
there...
it looks pretty good, eh?
Right. So it's making me wonder what you know that I don't know about this chainsaw.
Well, it's a secret.
Because look at that.
Well, if people watch the video to the end, they will see what's wrong with this saw.
Like that, it seems to me like it's got great compression.
It
But
sure looks like it.
it shouldn't fall at all, but... Wow, okay.
It's a lot slower than in our other videos.
Absolutely. It's
Yeah.
a lot slower.
So what do you think you should check now, Dave?
Well, if we have what we think is good compression, I'm thinking that we need to pop the cover off here, check for spark. And
Yeah.
that's the first thing that I
Yeah.
would check.
So remember, guys, what you need for your chainsaw to run is compression, spark, and fuel. We've already somewhat checked the compression. Dave's going to check the spark, and then we'll go from there.
Okay, so I've got the three...
Yeah.
Now, these are different. They're not bolts anymore. These are like what quarter turn kind of clasps.
They're not threaded, Dave.
Okay, so
You
this
just
is
kind of turn them and they unclip.
just like that. That's easy.
Yeah.
And this is just the steel
The wrench you get with the saw when you buy it.
So it's just the same as if you were taking it off on a 260, but
Bit more modern.
a bit more modern. Wow, look at this.
Look at how clean that is, Dave. The flywheel, air filter, there is no dirt
Was this
in
from
there.
was this from your greasy hand here?
It could be from my dirty paws here, Dave.
Nice. Wow, it literally looks like it's brand new. Look at that.
Sure does.
Wow, what a shame.
I know it. Well,
You could just be tricking me, but I don't think that's the case.
well, there is an issue with this saw, and this is part of your training.
Yeah, and you said
every-
it doesn't start.
that the customer came in and said that. Yeah.
Right.
And I tried starting it earlier, and I
Right.
couldn't really get it to go.
Okay.
I know what's wrong with it again, as I'm repeating over and over. So you're going to check for spark now, right?
Yes, I am.
Okay.
So this spark plug boot comes off, and then I need this wrench to get in here.
Yeah.
Now, I've never worked on a 261. This is a brand new saw. I'm not sure if this fits inside of there, which I don't think it does. Okay, it's pliable rubber here.
Yeah. It's easier than taking off the parts there.
And you'd figure that steel wouldn't make something that would be that difficult in order to pull the spark plug out, so that does make sense.
Yeah, so I don't know why they did that, but just get the plug off. On most Stihl chainsaws, you're looking at a NGK BPMR 7A plug. Now Dave's going to plug it into the spark plug boot. He's going to ground it to the metal, keep it away from the spark plug hole. Make sure the switch is on.
Oh, there's something there, Don. Have a peek in there. Just the boot.
The boot came off?
No, the lead or the contact was just twisted, but now it's on there, yeah.
Okay. So make sure the switch, I should be telling you what to do here, Dave, because you're my
This is my test, you know.
Exactly.
Yeah, this is to graduate me to the next
I don't
grade.
want you to fail this test,
Right.
Dave. Make sure the switch is on.
Yeah. So that would all the way down would be choke, but that still gives, oh, no, there's no choke on this because it's the Amtronic carb. So it's on or off.
Okay, make
On
sure
it
she's
is.
on.
Yep.
Do you want me to shut off the lights or?
Well,
or
let's
just
see.
zoom
Let's
right
see if
in?
you can see what it looks like here. Let's see what happens. Now, I'm not going to touch any of this because I
You know what? I put your hand between the plug and the metal.
And I've felt that before, and I'm sure that you've felt that
I
before,
have
and that's not really a good feeling. So,
It's always part of the training
Yeah.
when you're younger.
okay, let's try it.
Oh, we got spark there.
Is there spark? Oh yeah, I see it.
You know what, Dave? I'm going to turn the lights off.
Okay.
It'll be easier for our viewers to see that spark.
Sounds good. Lots of spark.
Yeah.
Nice and blue.
It's a nice blue spark, Dave. I'll turn the lights on and we can continue from there. All right, Dave. So you think that the compression's good. You've checked the spark.
Yep.
I have to confirm the spark is good, Dave.
Yep.
Where would you go from here in diagnosing a saw that's brand new and doesn't want to go?
Suppose I'd ask now if you could tell me a little more history about the saw, like what the customer said when they showed up. That would help me out now from this point forward.
Okay, Dave. So these guys came in. They just bought it from a dealer close by. I tried to get as much info as I can, but it was a bit vague, Dave. All they told me is they ran one fuel tank through the saw. And kind of halfway or 3/4 way through that gas tank, the saw just started to run poorly and died. And then they couldn't start it up.
Did they? Okay, so that tells me something. So immediately in my mind, I'm thinking there's an issue with the fuel,
There could be.
right? So carburetor related. I mean, if I've got compression, I've got spark.
Exactly. So what are we missing here?
Fuel.
Exactly.
So did they elaborate at all regarding what happened when it was dying, or
They were vague. They were vague, Dave. I thought I would get clearer information or more
Right.
straight to the point information.
Right.
I just feel I didn't get the whole truth.
It's funny how that.
So what do you think? I'm kind of leading you on a bit here, Dave.
Well, I'm going to pull the gas out of it
Okay.
and see. Now, I have seen before, and I'm sure you've seen this before too, that someone maybe forgets to put oil in their
Absolutely.
in their gas.
Yeah.
But they'll run it, they'll wreck their saw, they realize their mistake,
Yes.
and then they think that they can fix their mistake by putting mixed fuel,
Yeah, you've heard me say that before,
the
right?
proper mixed fuel back in the tank, and somehow magically it unscores the piston. Not the case.
Let's get to the point here. Why don't you take the gas out?
Done.
I see you've got a container.
I do, yep.
I know that's what you were going to show us here.
Let's see what this looks like. Oh, sorry, my arm's in the way there, Don. Can you see that?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
Okay, it looks pretty blue.
Nice and blue.
Like some blue. Let's.
But
What do you think?
but if it's nice and blue,
50 to 1? 50 to 1, do you think? Or
I
have a sniff there. No,
I would-
don't do that.
yeah, guys, don't
Don't
sniff
smell
your
that.
gas.
Looks pretty good.
Yeah, that looks like 50 to 1 at least. Yeah,
Yeah.
it looks pretty good, Dave.
Okay.
But just because there's mixed gas in the tank, does that mean that's the gas they ran it with?
No. And that's kind of what I was getting at there, is that it could be someone trying to cover their tracks or trying to ruin a cylinder that they've ruined.
Okay, Dave, so I think you're on the right track. If you're thinking that, what do you think the next step should be?
So I thought that I would try and start it myself, but knowing what you've told me that it wasn't going to start, what I didn't want to do is cause more damage to something
Exactly.
that could be potentially fixable, but now
Yeah.
I've gone too far and wrecked it.
Exactly. So what do I always say in my videos?
Pull the muffler.
Right on, Dave.
Okay, so let's
Why
do that.
don't we do that? And but you need to take that off.
Oh, T27.
Exactly, guys. If you work on any Stihl chainsaws, you must have a T27 Torx bit, either in a screwdriver form or for your impact.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the T handle better for putting stuff on than taking stuff off, right?
Yeah, the hand
by
one. Yeah.
hand, yeah.
You can always take it off with the impact, but when you put it back on, guys, I recommend you use a hand Torx T27 so you don't strip the threads.
Okay, Don, so this looks like kind of like the MS260 and the 026 mufflers I've used before. I see the two bolts underneath here that look like they're T27, so I'm not necessarily worried about those, but I'm noticing that it doesn't have the same seam that the other, like the other mufflers, the front pops off and then there's two more T27s inside. So these look like some kind of retention clip here.
Okay, Dave, so I've had this question asked on YouTube a lot. The other two screws holding the muffler on are underneath these clips.
Okay, so are these clips just to prevent the bolts from backing off and falling out?
I think it's to prevent dirt from getting in, because if you have your bolts tight, they will not come off. So I think it's to protect the bolts. This is what you need, Dave, just a small flat screwdriver.
Okay.
And I'll get right close in there. So get right in there, Dave, and these will pop out.
Watch your finger
there.
See that? Oh, do they ever?
Dave.
I found it. It's right here. We got it.
Okay, that's good.
Keep an eye on
you
those.
would have failed your test today.
So should we be squinting here so we don't lose an eye when we do these?
I'm gonna look at it in case it flies.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna go for a size larger.
Sure.
Oh, there we go.
There you go.
So let's do this a little more gently
Yeah,
this
put
time.
your hand in front. Anybody watching, put your hand in front, guys, when you take these off, because they do go popping, as you saw.
Yeah. Unless you want to search all over your shop.
Exactly. Sometimes you can't even find them. So here are the clips. They just pop in. They're not necessary to the proper function of the saw. So if you're missing the clips, Dave, it won't affect the running of the saw.
Right.
But it is nice to have everything the way it was from the factory, because it's there for a purpose. As Dave mentioned, there's two screws at the bottom and two in here, and they're all T27 Torx.
Got it. Is there a preference to when you work on if you use the top first, or are you undo the top first versus bottom, or is it really matter?
Not for removing, Dave. It doesn't matter. It's when you put it back on, you want to make sure you tighten them up evenly and maybe in a diagonal fashion.
Got it. And that these are the two that actually screw into the cylinder, correct?
Exactly.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah.
So I'll back this one out first.
And again, guys, whoever's watching today, the impact and the Torx bit that Dave is using is a must-have if you work on Stihl chainsaws.
Yep. Absolutely. Okay, so I've got a few.
So what do you think's behind there, Dave?
I don't know yet, but it's one of the first steps for sure.
So here's a question. Don't look at it yet.
Okay.
Why do you think I asked you to, maybe I suggested that or led you to that?
Because you knew exactly what was wrong with the chainsaw?
I can't say that, but why would you want to look at that?
So if they indicated that it was an issue with the saw on the first tank of gasoline that was put through here, I'm thinking almost immediately in my head that they forgot to put oil in the gas.
It could be, and I did give you a few little tips in this kind of investigation that they were vague.
Yes.
When I asked them what kind of gas they used, they kind of hemmed and hawed.
Yep.
So it kind of made me wonder.
Yep.
Okay, so we'll get a flashlight.
Yep.
I'm going to zoom in the camera, and we're going to see what's going on in there.
Sounds good.
Okay, Dave, here's a flashlight.
Okay, thank you.
Just shine the light in there.
Let's have a peek.
I'm going to zoom in there.
Okay, I'm just going to rotate. It doesn't look terrible, right? Oh, okay, on the side. Okay, yep.
It's not shiny, Dave. What do you think?
I think someone forgot to use...
Yep.
Yeah, so that's a scored piston. Yeah, absolutely on that side as well.
Yep.
So there's the answer to the
what's
problem.
our conclusion, Dave?
Someone forgot to put oil in the gas there, Don.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's scored.
And when you take all the factors that I talked about, being vague, we only used 1 tank of gas.
Right.
And they couldn't even tell me what the gas mixture they used.
If any.
If any.
Right. So I think that's the big thing, right? Like if they had said, yeah, I've been using this for 3 weeks and then I've stored it for the winter and then all of a sudden now it's not running or not starting.
Exactly.
Completely different scenario.
So Dave, the point I want to drive home here is, and we've talked about this in videos before, is always do your own diagnostic. Don't always go by what the customer tells you when they come in, because they won't always tell you, Dave, that they ran straight gas in the saw and then they dumped out the straight gas and put mixed gas like you just took out of the saw.
Right. And they might try to do that if they take it back to the dealership or something.
Oh, like absolutely, Dave. I've had people bring saws in my shop here after I put a carb kit in it. They said, Don, they called me a few days later, the saw is doing the same thing as it did when I brought it to you. Mm-hmm. And then I told them, well, bring it back in the shop. And I did exactly what Dave did and saw that the muffler was, the piston and cylinder were scored.
Right.
And they had even gone as far as these people did to empty out the gas and put in mixed gas.
Wow.
But then, Dave, when I took the carburetor apart and saw the straight gas, I knew what they did.
So you dumped the gas out of the carburetor?
Exactly. But also,
you're a bit of an investigator.
Yeah, it's like an investigation.
Yeah,
here.
Sure. Yeah.
But also, when you see that kind of damage and you see the gas that Dave took out of the gas tank, there's no way you would get this damage from good gas like that.
Right.
Especially when you take the carb apart and see straight gas. So I'm sure if we took that carburetor apart, we would see straight gas in there.
Right. Now I have a question, Don, for you.
Yeah.
So let's say the gas wasn't the issue and they were just absolutely revving the snot out of this chainsaw and no load and just sitting in the parking lot or on a log. Would you expect to see more signs on the bar? Like, would you expect to see a dull chain or a bar that was worn out more?
Absolutely.
Okay.
So you're absolutely right, Dave. Mm-hmm. And we talked about this in one of our online videos.
Right.
You can end up with scoring like that if you run a chainsaw with a dull chain. The chain and bar are pretty brand new on this one. It's hardly been used.
This is sharp.
Exactly. So it's not because of a dull chain this happened. Absolutely not.
Right. It looks like it's barely made its way through a log, Don.
Exactly. And you know what, Dave? I got to say something here.
What's that?
I did call the customer after because I've had this saw sitting in the shop for a few months because we've been in lockdown.
Yeah.
I did call them and the customer did admit. They did admit. Okay, that I kind of knew this.
Yeah.
I did.
Yeah.
They did admit that they did run straight gas in there. Okay.
So we figured it out.
We did. I just wanted to see how you're coming along in your small engine chainsaw diagnosing, how you're learning.
So where would you go from here then with this?
What I would do from here, Dave, is because this is, it's brand new. They literally only used 1 tank. It might be worth putting in a new OEM kit or a good Meteor kit.
Okay.
Because it's kind of a shame to just scrap it or use it for parts.
What's this saw cost new, Don? $800?
Yeah, in Canada with tax, you're looking at $800. We pay 13% tax here.
Almost $900 for this chainsaw. $799 right now, I think it was.
Is that what it is?
Yeah.
I haven't checked. But
$799 with an 18-inch bar.
And it is a pro saw.
So this is 18-inch?
Yeah, this is an 18 325 50 gauge 74 drive links.
Okay.
It's a good size. You can go up. You can go up to 24, I think, on this saw.
Right. So I walk into the store and I want to buy this off the shelf, not scored.
Yeah.
$800 plus tax here in Canada is $900 almost.
It's a lot of money. So if you can buy a kit, I'm not sure what the OEM kit is.
Right.
Maybe you can just sand it and maybe revive it that way. I know you've done that in some other videos.
Maybe that'll be part 2 of this this test.
It could be.
Yeah.
It could be. If you do that, we'll do a follow-up to show our viewers here how you made up, because Dave is actually going home with this saw today.
Ooh.
You are, right? You are, yes.
Yeah. Yes.
And by the way, guys, you know if a Stihl chainsaw is a pro saw because the crankcase is metal. On the prosumer ones, like the 290 here, you're looking at a plastic crankcase.
Interesting.
These saws are a lot harder to work on if you do top ends because you have to remove the whole block.
Right. There's a lot more involved in fixing this saw versus
Way more, Dave. Whereas this one here, you can just pop off the 4 T27 torque screws, remove the intake boot, pop it out, be careful.
Right.
You know, in an hour or less, you can have a new kit in there or fix it up.
So this isn't any different than the 026 or the MS260 in terms of changing the top end?
Exactly. Very similar, except you might find it a little more confined because it's a newer version.
Right. But I think it looks like I should be able to pop this shroud off here and get at what I need to get at.
Absolutely. Take your time if it's the first time you work on them.
Okay.
You know, you're going to be seeing more of these. Obviously, I might even get more in the shop. But the more you do, the more efficient you'll get at taking them apart and putting them back together.
Awesome. Maybe I'll do a video on that.
Absolutely. We'll do a follow-up.
Sweet.
All right, Dave, I appreciate you coming here and being put to the test. I'm going to give you a good grade today.
Okay.
Absolutely.
B plus. Room for improvement.
You're pushing on an A, actually.
Oh, okay. All right.
Okay. That will also depend on how you make out with this saw. I want you to give us a good follow-up.
Yeah.
If Dave revives this saw, if he breathes life back into it, we're going to have a video up. And as always, guys, make sure to leave your questions and comments below the video. No question's a dumb question. We look at all the questions. If we miss your question, just repost it.
Yeah. I have a list going on right now of all the questions from all the comments. And if it feels like something that we can cover in one of our videos that we do here together, and I know this is a much better format than what we normally do via two different workshops, but
exactly.
Lockdown's over. Summer's coming up, so we're super excited about that. And we've got that list, and we'll go over all these questions and hopefully answer some of them for you guys.
Absolutely. Okay, guys, thanks for watching. Make sure you thumbs up and subscribe. And also check out Dave's channel. The link is in the video description.
Appreciate that.
Follow me on social media. All the links are below the video. Again, guys, thanks for watching, and you have a great day now. Take care.